welcome to Faith and Autism with Cornelia Mwanza. At Faith and Autism, we advocate, we educate, and we impact our generation in order to have a beautiful future for all of us. Today we're going to be talking about the power of letting go. Precisely the story of Abraham. Abraham in Genesis 12, God told him to leave his country, his place, the place he's ever known, and his father's house. Notice father's house, and to go to a land that he will show him. And then Abraham got to Canaan. When he get to Canaan, God told him, this is the land I'm going to give you. When Abraham left Haran, he left with Lot, who is a member of Abraham's father's household. And Abraham's his name is Terah. Terah means wanderer. People that don't have a stable habitation. They are always going from place to place. What we see is that Abraham's action, and honestly sometimes by telling him to leave his father's house, he said, I want you to not be a wanderer anymore. I want you to have a stable habitation. This is why when you see when God talks about Israel, he said, like, I will give you a place, bring you to a place, the place you will call your own. Abraham's action affected his posterity in a way. There was famine in Canaan. He took it upon himself. God didn't tell him. God told him, stay here. This is Canaan, where you need to be. But he took it upon himself to go to Egypt. God's purpose is bigger than us. God's ability cannot be comprehended by our finite humanness. Like my husband beautifully said that he read somewhere and that thing stuck with him, and he tells it to us all the time. Man as a finite being cannot comprehend in an infinite God. We are limited in the way we see things. So when he went Egypt, he was in his own knowledge, because that's what he thought, that he was solving a problem. A famine problem. Let's go to Egypt. And guess what? When he went to Egypt, what did he acquire? A maidservant in the name of, you guessed it, Hagar. And guess what? Who's Hagar the mother of? Ishmael. You see how one action has many ripple effects. Genesis 35:1 says, go up to Bethel. Listen to this. Settle there and build an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you were fleeing from your brother Esau. But now we go to Genesis 35 verse 16. Then they moved. They moved on from Bethel, while they were still some distance from Ephraim. The point is, they moved from Bethel. You see how one man's action is still continuing to affect his posterity. Again now, Israel moved again and pitched his tent beyond Migdal Ednei. Who sent him there? God wanted to take. He said, did you see that 35 verse 1? He says, settle there. So I want to encourage somebody, you and me. Did God give you an instruction? And because maybe the circumstances around you are not favorable, you're like, maybe I didn't hear God. Like for example, us, we live in Niagara. Many people say Niagara, there's no job, there's no work. My husband didn't work for a year and a half, but did we ever confess there's no job in Niagara? I say, do not say a confederacy with those who say a confederacy. With us, confess that there's no job. Yes, we did not have job. My husband physically, but me and him as a family, we said, hey, we will never confess that thing. Because guess what? In this same Niagara, I found a job. Did it take long? Yes. Was it some very hard months for us? Oh, you best believe that I was on mat leave. I couldn't work. I just had the baby, or I was pregnant. Anyways, it was around that time. He was the only one that could be the breadwinner at that time. And both of us couldn't work. We didn't have a job. So, it was very hard. But we never once ever thought, oh, maybe we should move and go to a place where there's more jobs. Because we know that God, in this time in our lives, called us in Niagara. We never thought, it never crossed our mind. Because the biggest problem that Abraham had was letting go of his father's house. Because that's what is always known. Is there something in your mind, in your life, where God is telling you to let go, and you're still, God, but this is what I know, but this job I've done it for so many times. God is telling you, you are done here, go here, but this one I know is a new career. Maybe He's telling you, or whatever it is, letting go will give you, like, actually believing God that He knows better. Knows better than us. Listen, in the midst of, after a job I did recently, I had to call my husband. I said, Jonathan, God is not our mate. Because listen, it doesn't matter how much you think you know. He's not our mate. And guess what? In His all-knowingness, He says He has the good plans for us, plans of good and not of evil. It's hard. Believing God sometimes can feel like you're pulling teeth. But honestly, it's worth it. Like my pastor's wife always says, the vision speaks in the end. And the end, you will see the reason why everything was going on. I'm going to end by giving a testimony for myself. As I've said many times, that 2017 was a hard year for me. It wasn't just the hardest year of my life because of the miscarriage. And that year was a year that somebody did something to hurt me, that hurts me deeply. When I say deeply, because it was not the person that I thought would ever do that. It was a friend who hurt me deeply. That year too, one good thing that happened, the only good thing that I can remember of 2017 was my graduation from nursing. So I had bought some graduation gowns, and one of them came with this thing right here that says graduating. Recently God has been really working in me and like in healing and all that, because last year something else happened that just brought back things that brought out to life that I wasn't really healed. And God, a few weeks ago, He's been telling me about letting go of this thing, because I had not taken this thing off since then. But I told Him, God, that's a memory that I cherish the most. Like, honestly, it's one of the best memories of me of 2017. He said, yes, but you know what? You didn't just carry the good memories with this thing. You carried the bad ones too. So it's hard for you to let go. That's why I'm doing a work in you, that this here is a physical. Yes, it's just looks like a band or whatever, but it's deeper than that. Because, and honestly, and I understand what He meant, because after I took it off, I was like, oh my God, something is missing. I've worn it for 5 years. Every single day. I've taken it maybe a handful of times. And I took it back right away. And God was let go. So it's been a week, 2 weeks now. I haven't had that on my hand. So is there something in your life you need to let go of? Is there a hurt? Is there a boyfriend? Is there a husband? Is there a wife? Is there a friend like me that hurt you so deeply? Or is it God even that you're not wanting to let go of it? Today, I'm encouraging you. God sent me to you, tell you to let it go. It's not gonna be easy. Some tears are gonna be shed. But I'm gonna leave you with His word, because that's how we do things here, Faith and Autism. It's in Galatians. And we will confess this word until our mind is clear of that hurt. Galatians 5:1. It is for freedom that Christ set us free. He says, stand firm then, and do not let yourself be burdened again by the yoke of slavery. It is for freedom that Christ sets me free. So I stand firm on this freedom, and I refuse to be burdened again by the yoke of slavery. Because not letting go it's kind of you being a slave to that hurt. Your life, you are revolving it around that hurt. But no more, because Christ set you free. My prayer for you today is that indeed you will live in the fullness of that freedom in the name of Jesus. Thank you very much for joining me today again, and I'm very, very happy to have been able to share my testimony with you. I hope that you were blessed. And I want to remind you that don't forget No matter what, Jesus reigns. Bye bye. See you next week.